This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell, and joining me today in the studio are the Toledo Symphony's music director, Elaine Trudell, our principal second violin and artistic administrator, Merwin Sue, also the TSO's director of marketing, Vanessa Gardner, and we have a very special guest by phone. Let me pull up your fanfare. That is Rodney Miller. Oh, I got caught by the little New Year's Eve horn there. Rodney Miller. Welcome, Rodney.
Well, great to be with you. Thanks for having me on this morning. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Well, you are here because you are the conductor, also a featured artist for the Toledo Symphony's John Philip Sousa tribute concert. It's happening Memorial Day weekend. Merwin, what did I miss?
Well, so I have to say I put down featured artist because I had no idea to describe just exactly how Rod is going to be doing this. So, Rodney, maybe you can kind of...
Let me try that again.
No, featured artist is perfect. That's we exactly want to call him that, but I think we can go into a little bit more detail on the radio.
Well, yeah, you're jumping the gun, Merwin, because I do want to have some more detail, but first I just want to, identify his relationship to the concert.
Well, as music director, I would have liked to be advised of this because I thought I never heard about Rod. I thought with some guy, the John Philip something that was coming to conduct.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused here.
Anyway.
Okay,
Well, we don't mean to confuse you.
Let's start again.
No, I got news for you. We're not starting over. We're not starting over. We don't do that in Toledo Symphony Lab. We never start.
So who's that Rod person?
Rod, are you still there or did you go away?
Aww.
Believe it or not, I'm still here.
Hi, Rod.
Okay. So you are much more than a conductor and featured artist, obviously. You're doing a lot of stuff. And what we usually do with guests is we ask them to tell us their story, right? So maybe you can, go back to the beginning, kind of talk about how you got interested in music, how you got interested in John Philip Sousa, and, take it from there and talk a little bit about your many awards and honors, as it were. Let me pull up some music for you. Okay, let's see. No, that's not right. Okay, take it away, Rod.
There we go. Well, I'm actually a high school band director for another 18 days. I'm retiring after 34 years of public school teaching and music education. And currently, so I'm the director of bands at Fort Clinton City Schools over here in Fort Clinton, Ohio, the walleye capital of the world. But I've taught in different places, usually all in northern Ohio. And the Sousa thing started for me when a gentleman by the name of Keith Bryan did a Sousa concert at the Ohio State University. I'm an Ohio State graduate. And he did a concert, and I fell in love with it. And so a friend of mine by the name of Vince Polsey, a longtime director at Defiance High School, Vince was doing his PhD work at Ohio State at the time. And we thought, you know what, can we do this at the high school level? And we just started doing it because we thought it was a great way to feature the music. We saw what it did for the audience. We knew what it did for us as musicians in the ensemble. So it really started out in very humble beginnings. And somewhere along the line, I became I guess, for lack of a better term, a Sousa nerd. And I started doing a lot of research, and the uniform progressed. The uniform that I wear now is an exact replica of what Sousa wore from 1880 to 1892. And when he was the director of the President's Own United States Marine Band. And it's gotten to the point now where somebody, I don't know who did this, labeled me as an expert on Sousa in the world and the foremost portrayer of John Philip Sousa.
Wow.
And so I'm flattered and honored by that, but I call myself a Sousa enthusiast or a Sousa nerd. And
a Sousa fist. Oh, that buzzer is in the same key as the music. That was nice.
That's right. Yeah, that was F flat, I believe. So, that's where it all began. And luckily, I have a beautiful bride of 27 years. My wife is also a music teacher, a wonderful clarinetist. And she supports me in all my endeavors, in my inability to figure out who I am sometimes, if I'm Rodney Miller, if I'm John Philip Sousa, if I'm Santa Claus. I mean, there's just so many different personas, I guess, that a guy can have. But it's just turned into this, and I'm really honored that, Maestro Trudell and Merwin and the good folks there at TSO asked me to come in and conduct this concert, because I think for me, the Sousa concerts, Sousa was the musician, band leader, ensemble leader, and he really cut his chops conducting orchestras. That's the thing. Sousa was actually a violinist.
Yeah.
And so it's great to explore those roots again. And, Sousa was in Toledo 16 different times during his career.
Oh,
so
I didn't know
it's great
that.
to bring Sousa back to Toledo.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that definitely gets a cheer.
Took a while to get from the 16th time to the 17th time, though. I don't know what happened.
You can save that fun fact for a future quiz, Brad.
Yeah, let me write that down. The concert, I should mention, is happening on Friday at 8 p.m. at the Paris-style Stars and Stripes Forever, a tribute to John Philip Sousa. Elaine Trudell is conducting. Rodney Miller, who is on the program today, is also conducting, and we'll also hear from soprano Carol Dewsteeker. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff on this program, Rod, and I see your name as one of the composers, the Sousa Fanfare. Can you tell us a little bit about that piece?
Yeah, so it's a piece that I've kind of put together that I wanted to really have a way to capture the audience and take them back to a turn-of-the-century type of concert. And so it's just a quick little 30-second fanfare that I wrote. And just to grab the audience and say, let's go back to a time when the March King's music was just that. It was king. I mean, patriotism was at an all-time high. And, Sousa, when asked, what is your occupation? He would say salesman of Americanism. And so I wanted to write a little patriotic fanfare just to grab the audience and say, come on a ride with us. And I think that's what the Toledo Symphony Orchestra, anytime I've heard them, I mean, their involvement, the way they put things on the screen, I mean, they pull the audience in and say, join us on this musical journey. And I think that's what the Sousa concerts did in Sousa's day, and that's what I wanted to do with this, is let's say, come with us on this journey. Let's go back to, Willow Grove Park in Philadelphia or the New York Hippodrome. Let's go back to one of those places and come on this musical journey with us. And, with everything else going on in the world, it's great to take an hour and a half and say, let's just forget about everything else and let's enjoy some great music and some patriotism and just come on this journey with us. So that's really why I wrote the fanfare. And I'm happy to lend it, hopefully its musical grabby, the ability to grab people. And it's great to have TSO play that. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Now, there are some selections by John Philip Sousa on the concert, and some of the usual suspects, like his fantastic marches. There's also, I think, the Monty Python theme. Is that there as well?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Which is the Liberty Bell March. And, Sousa, his son was actually coming back in, and the Liberty Bell was out on tour, and it came back into Philadelphia. And upon seeing everybody cheering about that, Sousa then wrote the Liberty Bell March. And that's the thing about Sousa concerts, and I think the audience needs to know, is that it's not all Sousa marches. Sousa had a very unique way of programming. And you may look at a Sousa program, and there might be 12 songs on that program. Well, in all actuality, there would be at least 24, because Sousa played one of his marches as an encore after all of the selections that were in the program. Wow. And sometimes, depending on how, lack of a better term, how rowdy the crowd got, he might play 2 or 3 marches as a single encore. I mean, Sousa concerts, it was not unusual for a Sousa concert to last 3 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, they were incredible. So his musicians were, tremendous. There's a lot of times that Sousa played not only 2, but 3 and even 4 concerts a day. The matter of fact, the last time that the Sousa band was on tour, they were in Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh Exposition, and they did a 7-day stint in Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh Exposition and did 4 concerts every day.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's a lot of oompapas.
Yeah. It's amazing. His band traveled all over the world, and there's just so much that goes into the man and his music and his way of programming a concert. So the way that I program Sousa concerts now is we don't do a complete replica of what Sousa played. However, Maestro Trudell has selected some tunes for the first part of the concert, which Sousa would have played. I went through and researched, and I said, here's a list of songs that Sousa played on different tours and stops in Toledo. And so that's what the first part of the concert is. Then the second part of the concert, when I come out, is really of, if Sousa were alive today, what would his concerts look like? What music would he play? And Sousa's whole thing with programming was the audience must like it. And he would play a lot of music of the day. Now, we're not playing a Beyonce medley or anything else like that, or a salute to the Backstreet Boys.
Not even as an encore?
I better edit the website.
Yeah, you better edit that. Yeah, Beyonce is not coming out on stage, contrary to popular belief.
Beyonce impersonator.
We would, it's great to have a lot of these songs. And I have a lot of discussions with my fellow Sousa scholars and stuff like that, and the director and assistant director of the President's Own Marine Band, and say, what would he play today? And I think that that's important. And it's, and as Leigh said, there's a lot of music that Sousa played in the day that was popular that nobody knows today. Now, there's a lot of music that Sousa played that's still very popular today, especially if you're talking about some of the Von Suppe overtures or, Poet and Peasant that you're going to hear on the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that stuff that's very recognizable. But when you go through the very extensive list of everything that Sousa played, there's probably at least half of it that most people are going to say, I've never heard of it. And even if you played it, they're like, I don't recognize that. Because it was the music of the day. He actually played jazz. He was not a jazz fan at all. He played some ragtime. He was lukewarm to ragtime. But, it's just, his concerts were just, I've called it this, it was a smorgasbord of music for any music lover. There was always something on the concert that somebody was going to enjoy. And that's the kind of concert that we programmed there for the Toledo Symphony.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm looking at the program right here, and it's so diverse. I even noticed some opera stuff on there. I assume that's where Carol Dustiker comes in. But did Sousa play opera excerpts on his concerts?
Yeah, a lot. If I can jump in, he did. What's really interesting, and Rod, you will agree with that, I'm sure, is that a lot of American audiences were introduced to many of the classical works by the John Philip Sousa band. Tchaikovsky symphonies, a lot of opera arias, Berlioz. He played a lot of Berlioz, and I was really stunned. Roman Carnival Overture was it was one of the favorites that they would play on tour. The Von Suppe, as Rod mentioned. But the opera, you would go a lot of French opera, not just like Carmen or not just like the well-known Italian opera, but, so a little bit of Gounod. So he would research a lot, and that also goes back to saying how serious a musician he was. And, often we like to put people in little boxes. So the Sousa's box is like, oh yeah, marches. Okay, good. Sousa march. And, of course, they're amazing, top, but, he's so much more than that. So that's what we want to show at that show.
Yeah. I'm just really fascinated with the fact that you've made it so Toledo centric, this program. And also, I do want to mention for the tickets for the concert, if you're a veteran, you get 10% off. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, so that's good to know. Now, this concert is happening on Friday at 8 p.m. at the Paris Style, kicking off Memorial Day weekend, a tribute to John Philip Sousa. You can find more information at ToledoSymphony.com or call them up at 419-246-8000. Rodney, you mentioned your Sousa colleagues, right? The whole group network of Sousa nerds. And I just was put in mind of like, you know how they have Santa Claus conventions? Do they have like anywhere where you guys all meet up and talk about John Philip Sousa? I just see like a sea of little caps and, batons.
Probably just a lot like Sousa or Santa conventions. There's probably, if you put too many Sousas in one room, you're going to get some egos. I mean, we are business after all. I mean, but no, there is not. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, there's just a handful of us that are left. And Paul Byerly, who is the foremost authority on John Philip Sousa, who passed away a number of years ago. And I met Paul when I was at Ohio State because he lived in Westerville and did a lot of stuff there. And that's where everything got really started, was with Paul Byerly. And I was very fortunate enough to spend some time with Paul, quite a bit of time with Paul, actually, and, get all of his books and pick his brain and different stories about how he, did a lot of his research. But there aren't many of us around that are still doing this. Now, I do a lot of research on John Philip Sousa, the Mason, because he was a 51-year Mason, and I am a Mason, and a Freemason, and so I do a lot of research on that. He was a Knight Templar. He was a Shriner. He did. Yeah. I mean, he was everything.
You're ruining my quiz, by the way.
I didn't write any of that down. Slow down.
Keep going. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, I'm ruining the quiz. Yeah.
Now that you're retiring from high school, you can start a Sousa convention.
Yeah, you can be the head Sousa. You can combine Freemasonry and like the Sousa Claus, and
yeah. And I actually have pictures of Sousa dressed up in a Santa Claus outfit going to children's hospitals handing out toys.
Wow.
Great. But he would wear his beard under his chin like most people wear their mask. And sorry about that. And I don't think that's but no, he wore it under his chin. He didn't like the beard. So, and years ago, I used to glue on a fake beard and this, that, and the other. And I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I grew out my beard, what it would actually look like. And when I grew it out, I'm like, I think this looks okay. And so, but you see in the publicity photos, I actually have white hair. And so I dye it and do the makeup and stuff like that. And because Sousa's hair was black, all the pictures you see of Sousa, his hair is brown. But if you look at his passport, it says right on his passport that his hair was black.
So you're going full out for the 27th.
Full Sousa, the full Sousa. Yeah.
I will be in full Sousa mode. And like I said, my uniform, I've probably spent over $4,000, probably close to $5,000 on my uniform.
Oh my gosh.
And I will, it's an exact replica of what Sousa wore when he was the director of the Marine Band. And it's great to have. I have a great relationship with the President's own Marine Band in Washington, D.C. I get to go in and do research in their archives, and I get to see a lot of things. And I mean, some of the stuff that they have there is really unusual. I mean, probably the most unusual thing they have there is that actually Sousa was an avid cigar smoker. He loved his Havana Cuban cigars. And I think that one of the reasons that people joke about it, that he programmed so many concerts in Cuba, is he was out of cigars.
We'll have those available in the lobby. No, I'm just kidding.
We actually have the cigar that was in his pocket the night he died in Reading, Pennsylvania, March 5th, 1932.
When you say we, you mean like the community as a whole, not you. Like you didn't steal the cigar.
I don't have it. No,
okay.
My wife
doesn't
have a lot of weird stuff in the house, but she won't let me have that. No, that is at 8th and I at Sousa Hall in Washington, D.C., and that's a property now of the President's own Marine Band.
Yeah.
So it's great. And the other thing is you talk about the Marine Band. The assistant director of the Marine Band, we're doing a world premiere. Am I ruining? I don't want to ruin a quiz here.
No worries.
Good. Ryan Nallen wrote a piece called "Let Freedom Ring," and we are doing a world premiere of that on this concert on the 27th. And I can tell you this: that piece is absolutely on fire.
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing, and he. When he found out I was conducting the concert, he says, "Hey, how about if I do this for you?" And I'm just very, very, very lucky and fortunate and blessed that Maestro Trudell and Merwin and the folks at TSO said, "Let's do it. Let's do this world premiere." And Ryan's excited, and I think the folks of the Marine Band are excited to hear it as well. But it's a tremendous piece of music, and there's a great backstory, which is longer than what we have, but there's a great backstory to it. But so just all sorts of great music, and I'm just really excited. I feel blessed to have this opportunity, and with me retiring, I am getting a lot more phone calls to go out and do Sousa things with community bands and college bands, and even a couple professional bands, and I'm very blessed. And now to do this with TSO, and I feel like that the folks there at TSO, because I've been around them in some other capacities here the last 3-4 years, I'm very blessed to have this relationship, and honored that they've asked me to come in to do this. I'm just really looking forward to it.
Round of applause. Definitely. Well, I know you've got to go soon, Rodney, but thank you so much for joining us. Merwin, did you want to chime in?
Well, I think it's just really amazing what Alain and Rod have done together in creating this program. It's something that's both timeless and yet of this time. And, if it's both kind of like international and very much American, but also of this region. So I think when you're being able to create something that has universal and local feel, and of the past and of the present, then I think you're going to have a very special concert. And I think that's what they were aiming for. And I think that's definitely what people who attend the concert will get.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk some more with Elaine about that as well. But Rod, I'm going to kick you off because I don't want you to ruin any more quiz questions, right? Rodney Miller is one of the conductors for this concert, Stars and Stripes Forever, a tribute to John Philip Sousa. Rodney is, as we've mentioned, one of the foremost authorities on the music and the man, John Philip Sousa. This is happening Friday at 8 p.m. at the Peristyle, kicking off Memorial Day weekend. Rodney Miller conducting, also soprano Carol Dewsteeker. More information about the concert at 419-246-8000 or ToledoSymphony.com. Rod, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to this, what sounds like a wonderful, fun, family-friendly, great performance coming from the Toledo Symphony.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rod.
Okay, and as they say, but wait, there's more.
Not 3 hours more, though.
No, we're not doing any encores to this program. I do have a quiz for you, though, and I split it up into 2 parts. So we'll get to the quiz, and then, Elaine, I want to hear, your side of the story as far as planning and creating this concert. But this quiz is called JP or PT. Now, do you have any idea what it alludes to? JP stands for John Philip. PT, well, that's one of the questions. I can't tell you what it stands for, but it's P.T. Barnum.
Mental physical therapy.
Right? So I'm going to say a fact about this person, or it could be a multiple choice. We'll take that as it comes along. And you either guess if it's John Philip Sousa or P.T. Barnum. Okay? Let me pull up a little appropriate quiz music here.
This is not the orchestration we are using.
No. Okay. First question. He tried to join the circus as a teenager, but was stopped by his father. Second question. We know that JP stands for John Philip. What does the PT in P.T. Barnum stand for? Is it Phineas Tyler Barnum? Is it Phineas Tarquinius Barnum? Or is it Phineas Taylor Barnum? A, B, or C? Third question, who came first, JP or PT? Fourth question, this person was a member of their state House of Representatives for 2 years. Is that PT or JP? And this person, this is the question that Rod spoiled for us. This person was a Freemason. They held the title of Master Mason for half a century. Okay, is that JP or PT? Let's rewind back to the beginning. He tried to join the circus as a teenager, but was stopped by his father. That is John Philip Sousa. Yeah. Everybody get that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got him.
Vanessa didn't get it? Okay, you got it, Elaine. Merwin? Okay, so Elaine is the only one who got it. We know JP stands for John Philip. What does PT stand for? The answer is C, Phineas Taylor Barnum. Anybody get C?
I did.
I went with Tyler.
Did anybody go for Tarquinius?
Oh, I did.
Did you say it?
I didn't have any answers.
No.
So
Okay, so that one goes to Vanessa, right? Okay, who came first, JP or PT?
JP.
JP was born in 1854. P.T. Barnum was born in 1810. What? Same year as Robert Schumann and
Shame on
Frederick
me.
Chopin.
No way.
Yeah,
1810.
1810?
yeah. P.T.
Whoa.
Barnum,
Mind
1810 to 1891. John Philip Sousa was 1854 to 1932. Right? Educational podcast. Who was a member of their state House of Representatives for 2 years? That would be Phineas Taylor Barnum. PT.
He's got one of them.
And now, did anybody get the who came first question?
No.
No, nobody got that. Anybody get the? Oh, we didn't do the state house representatives.
Yeah,
oh, that
we
was
just
PT. Yeah, we just did it.
I got that.
You got that. Did you get it, Merwin?
Yeah.
You did. So Vanessa and Merwin. So far, Vanessa's in the lead. Okay, final question, which I think we'll all get. This person was a Freemason. They held the title of Master Mason for half a century, actually 51 years. It was John Philip Sousa.
Yay.
Yay.
Everybody get that? Yeah.
Yep.
So, Vanessa, you are the winner of the quiz.
Round one.
Yeah, it's very, very rare.
Well, that was for Merwin, who lost the quiz.
I think the last quiz I won was like the bird quiz last April.
Was it about William Byrd?
Oh, no.
It was the one about groups of animals,
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah.
Metro Parks one.
That's good.
Excellent. Well, I got to dig that out someday because we didn't get through all those. I remember I had like a whole book's worth of different names for groups of animals. Anyway, so Vanessa won the quiz, but Elaine, we want to hear from you now and get your side of the story as putting this program together, because I know that it's really important to you to find local connections.
Yeah. There's so many John Philip Sousa concerts out there that I really wanted to do. First of all, pay tribute. I mean, it's very close to my personal culture being a trombone player, because the most famous trombone player ever was Arthur Pryor, who played, believe it or not. Well, now you can believe it when you heard Rod say that sometimes he had 4 concerts a day, but he played 10,000 times as a soloist with the Sousa band.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah,
And his music is on the program, right?
and he went on to become one of the first leading conductor of the recording era, the beginning of the recording era. So I feel really close to him. So I've researched a lot of being a brass player and a lot of things about Sousa, not to the extent of Rod, but when I met him, actually I met him as Santa Claus, right?
Sousa Claus.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while to figure out who Rod was, because he was Santa Claus, then he was Sousa, and I said, okay, you're that guy. But we started talking, because of course I noticed, like I said, well, you're because usually you have a Santa Claus at your concert, it comes on stage, says hi, but this Santa Claus came, he conducted the orchestra, fantastic. I said, you're a good conductor, Santa, And he said, that's Rod, by the way.
Santa Rod.
Yeah. And start talking, getting to know him better, checking out what he does. And I said, well, put one and one together. I said, well, I want to do a tribute, but I don't want to do anything tacky. I want to have something that's historically informed, which we talk a lot when we do, Handel, Baroque music, but there's different parts of history. So, and that part of history is important. And I wanted to do something that, I said, let's find programs that he did in Toledo. Not just the last program, but a mix of what he did the most in the region and all the 16 times he was here. So he started sending me microfilms, of research that he did in the library. And I did like a poll of, what piece was there the most. And we made a program with that looks very much like a Sousa program. And usually Sousa program, you would have a half that would be like very symphonic, very, like New World parts of New World Symphony. It was popular at that time to play movements of symphonies.
Mm-hmm.
You would have like a New World Symphony, a Berlioz Overture, a Von Suppe Overture, maybe something from Hansel and Gretel, and then you would have second half, like the marches and then the set of encores. So we built a program like that, but a program that was played in Toledo 100 years ago. So it's kind of a wing, and I really wanted to stay as close as possible as that repertoire from that time. And the first half I'm conducting, and then we're welcoming John Philip Sousa to the stage. He's gonna come, and so the first half is shorter half a little bit, which has symphonic things. Like I said, there's some fun soupe. There's some there's the beautiful prelude from Hansel and Gretel. There's some excerpts from Carmen. All things that actually Sousa programmed and played in Toledo. But it's a shortish first half, and then the second half, it's really the show.
The free for all,
with the Freemason for all. And then
very good. That was really good.
And then Rod will come in as John Philip Sousa, and he does a great show.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's this question that's always been in my mind about John Philip Sousa, given the fact that he really became famous for his recordings early on and had a tight relationship with the recording industry. Yeah. And later in life, he came to decry what he called mechanical music. He was totally against like player pianos and what have you, but also against recording of music and listening to it that way. What do you make of that sort of dichotomy in his character? I mean, are those two compatible views, you think?
Well, it's, like we see it now, it's like, if you think of, it's to a different level, but, with technology also, some people don't want to, like, if you had your date book always in a book and you write your dates and you say, no, this is not going to work. I'm not going to put this in the Google Calendar. It's all going to get lost. And what happens after? And there's a little bit of that, but there's also the fact that he was a visionary, seeing that, music is meant, of course, we had COVID and all that you make do when you have that. But music is an event. It's a musical performance is also a community gathering, and it's made to be shared and it's made to be live. So for him, he was seeing the future of that, saying, oh, wait a second, are we going to lose this community side? It's not a question of business. It's like, are we going to lose this community, coming together, having a moment, sharing in this moment? I mean, there's what's going on stage, but there's what's going on between all the people are there and they talk. And because those shows, I mean, people, they talk between the pieces a little bit. Oh, they're going to do this one. And it was exactly like, if you go back, you can find those things on Facebook or whatever, YouTube, where you have, it's like a graphic, and let's say 1902 to 2022, the most famous, music. And then it starts, then that's valses and march, and then 1905, 1906, and it keeps moving, and at the end, like you have hip hop and, and then you have a big chunk for 30 years that was opera, like 1920 to 1950 or something like that. And if you look at those, the time that Sousa was there, everything he was doing, the march, like also the two steps, also the valses, it was all the most popular music. So you think if you have an event like that, you take all the like 4 or 5 most popular style of music and you play that in a concert. Imagine people went crazy. Yeah. They had like 10, 20,000 people that would come outside to hear them. And it's all stuff they'd be listening to, but you can't listen to it. There were no records. But it's all, they would play in their living room. They would be looking forward to that. So it's, I think he was seeing a little bit the future of that. It's interesting though, because I was talking about Arthur Pryor, who went on to be like a leader of the recording industry after that. Yeah. I mean, he was much younger and he saw he wasn't threatened by that so much. He kept pushing for that. But, I think this, this is pretty much what I think about.
Well, you make a great case for people gathering together and listening to music and sharing in it live as it happens. I mean, we've talked about this before. There's nothing that can replace the experience of sitting in the seat and actually watching the orchestra and feeling the music in real time. wash over you. So, as we start to emerge from the pandemic, I think that it's important to remember that experience and recreate it and maybe appreciate it all the more, the fact that we can do this. And Memorial Day, is like a celebratory, even though it's meant to memorialize fallen members of our military. It also is a time that people have picnics. They celebrate the beginning of summer. They celebrate community. They celebrate family. Exactly. Certainly, all of that is amplified by the Memorial Day theme and construct that everybody feels during that time. I think that this concert fits right into that entire theme of family. Basically, it all comes down to family. Yeah,
that's where we have it in what we call the pop series. It's, and people shouldn't feel like they have to be quiet or anything like that. You could just have a good time. If you like something during the concert, just say, "Wow, yeah,
excellent."
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, this is that kind of atmosphere we want to create.
Play it again with feeling.
But anyway, we worked really hard to have a concert that's very special, that pays tribute to the culture and to Sousa.
Yeah, and also to our local community.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's wonderful. I want to get to the second half of the quiz. There's only 4 questions in this quiz, so let's see how we do. It is a continuation of the JP or PT quiz, right? Okay. Let me pull up the music again, and I'll just go ahead. We don't have to wait for the whole intro here. This person almost single-handedly popularized opera in the United States. Okay. Second question. He never actually said his most famous quote. It's kind of like a Luke, I am your father thing. All right. Okay, Sousa was known as the March King. What 3-word nickname was P.T. Barnum called? Was it the Prince of Humbugs? Was it the Hoax King? Or was it the Duke of Deception? A, B, or C? And the final question. A crater on the planet Mercury was named in his honor. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. I can count to 4, Merwin. Okay, number 1, he almost single-handedly popularized opera in the U.S. Think of Jenny Lind and the Swedish Nightingale. It was P.T. Barnum who brought opera to the masses here in the States. Anybody get that? Merwin got it? No?
I'm so
just Merwin.
embarrassed.
Okay. This person never actually said their most famous quote. The quote is, "There's a sucker born every minute."
PT.
So the answer is P.T. Barnum. The theory is that his competitors actually said that he said it, right? Or they said it about him, and it became attributed to him. But he never actually said that. Anybody get it right? It was P.T. Barnum? Okay. So that's Merwin ahead by 1 right now.
I think we're tied.
Okay. Well, I'm not counting the last quiz.
Oh.
I'm starting all over with a new quiz. Okay. Sousa was known as the March King. What 3-word nickname was P.T. Barnum called? Was it the Prince of Humbugs? Was it the Hoax King? Or the Duke of Deception? The answer is A, the Prince of Humbugs.
Oh.
Drat.
Anybody get that?
I was going for the alliteration.
Yeah,
You-
me
So
too.
good.
You went for the ones that I made up. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the Duke of Deception. I
No,
think
that's
that sounds
my
like
nickname.
A cheap Halloween costume for next year. I'm the Duke of Deception.
Totally. They have like a garbage bag for a cape and a plunger in the other hand.
I love it.
Yeah, fantastic. Final question. A crater on the planet Mercury was named in his honor. That would be John Philip Sousa, JP. Yeah.
man,
Did you
this
get that,
was-
Elaine? Elaine got it. Anybody else get it?
Nope.
Okay, well, we have a tie between Elaine and Merwin.
Oh la la.
Okay, so I'll give it to Vanessa. Wonderful job, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to the next quiz. That
You know, I have a little John Philip Sousa little trophy at home, so I'll take it out, put it on my mantle today to celebrate my quiz win.
Perfect.
Now, you being a violinist, even though Sousa was a violinist, Merwin, I mean, have you played a whole lot of Sousa outside of a concert, like what's happening on Memorial Day weekend?
So I feel like that's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's why I asked it.
on one hand, I think there's so many concerts in which we play a march or a particular piece, and we've obviously played the Stars and Stripes Forever many, many times. And there's certain of his marches that we've played, probably a dozens of times. But like to actually kind of do a deep dive into his style, I think that's an entirely different thing.
Well, I mean, he wrote a lot more than marches.
Exactly.
There's all kinds of different pieces out there and operetta type, stuff that people can choose from. But he never wrote a violin concerto. I wonder if, maybe somebody could pull a Fritz Kreisler and write a violin concerto in the style of Sousa. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I think it's Alain's next project.
Yes. We'll get you
He's
on
been
that.
working diligently on something.
There has to be
sure
horns, though, to play the offbeats.
Yes, definitely.
I think Vanessa has some kind of residual legacy that's similar to mine as a second violinist of Sousa marches.
You're playing the offbeat.
Yes.
On 2 and 4. Right?
We definitely think of Sousa as an offbeat composer.
There you go. Well, we're about to wrap it up here. So anybody want to take the final word on this concert?
Okay.
You're up, Elaine. Here, I have some music for you.
No, God.
No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, if you've always thought that Sousa was just 1 or 2 marches, that it came down to that, you have to come and see what an evening with John Philip Sousa, with Rod.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have a good time and listen to some, what we call light classics, and it's a great way to introduce people to classics. You don't have a symphony that's an hour long or something, but it's all classical music. Some of it comes from famous operas, overtures, and American music as well in the second half. So it's a great introduction to classical music. It's a great way to come together as a community. It's a great way to celebrate the fact that John Philip Sousa, greatest, most famous musician probably in America at that time, was actually in Toledo all these times. And we're paying tribute by playing the music he played here. So, it's a great community event. It's a great way to introduce maybe members of your family into classical music. Maybe you love classical music, but the members of your family are not too hot on it. And you say, well, this is, something you might like, actually.
Yeah. It totally reads like a program for families, bring the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the concerts that they will love. It's happening Friday at 8 p.m. at the Paris-style Stars and Stripes Forever, a tribute to John Philip Sousa, conductor Rodney Miller, whom we spoke with earlier. Also, soprano Carol Dewsteaker performing works from the operatic canon with the Toledo Symphony. You can find more information at toledosymphony.com, or the box office phone number is 419-246-8000. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple, Google, and Spotify podcasts. Don't forget to check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website, toledosymphony.com, and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The TSO streaming platform is online at stream.artstoledo.com. My thanks to Elaine Trudel, Merwin Sue, and Vanessa Gardner. I'm Brad Cresswell. This has been Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.